Okay, everybody, welcome back. This is Todd Sylvester once again with the Todd Sylvester Inspires Belief Cast. I am excited once again to have an amazing guest on today named Cameron Treu. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. I also need to thank our sponsor, Veracity Networks. I'm so grateful for their sponsorship and support in helping getting this Belief Cast out to the masses. And, Drew Peterson, who made this all possible. So I need to thank them. And I also want to thank the listeners. Thank you for all your support. We're trending. We're cranking. The downloads are just booming up right now. And so thank you so much for all your support. And I also give credit to amazing guests. And today's no different with Cameron Treu today. So thanks for being here, my friend.
No problem. I'm nervous.
Yeah, he hasn't done a podcast before, but he's got an amazing story. I'm going to give you a little background on Cameron. He was born in 1979 in Long Beach, California. He moved from California to Heber City when you were 13 years old.
That was fun, by the way.
Yeah.
Huntington Beach to Heber in
Dude,
92?
Yeah, you're probably a little depressed.
I hated my parents for about 5 years.
Dude, totally.
But now I love it.
Yeah. We'll talk. I want to talk about that. You were 13 at that time. You served a mission for your church, served for about 20 months, and you blew your knee out. We'll talk about what happened there. You're married to your wife, Ashely, and you have 4 children,
Yep.
which we'll talk a lot about as well. Your favorite sport is ice hockey, and you started playing at the age of 8. You also love snowboarding and things like that. Yeah. Listeners, he is the founder and owner of Bams BBQ. Yeah. Which is one of the best barbecue places out there.
Thank you.
Anyone that I know who've been there, I love Bams. Just earlier, I was telling someone here at Wasatch that you were coming in, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's the owner and founder of Bams. He's like, Bam, I love that place. Yeah, so
my pride and joy.
So we'll give that some props, and we'll talk about how that all came about and why you got into that business.
Okay.
So anyway, thanks for being here.
Hey, my pleasure.
Appreciate it. So why don't you give us a little background? Growing up in California and with your family, a little bit about your family.
Yeah, so born and raised in Long Beach. Well, I don't know if I should say raised. I was there till I was about 8. And then we moved to Huntington Beach, California. And so I obviously remember a lot more about Huntington Beach. So
yeah. Were you really close to the beach too? Were you like
close,
right there?
Yeah, about a mile, I don't know, 2 miles.
Yeah.
But I was there, summertime, I would just get dropped off. I mean, it was...
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about now as a parent, just dropping off your 10, 11, 12-year-old at Bolsa Chica and just saying,
yeah, would you ever do that with your kids?
No cell phones, no nothing.
Right.
We'd get out of the water for an hour and go to this little Jack in the Box and ask for ice water and a lemon wedge and a sweet and low to make lemonade and go back out in the water. So,
boy, times have changed from that, right?
Have they ever. So, really fun. That's where I found hockey. Wayne Gretzky came to town, and they finally started showing hockey on TV. And it's kind of like barbecue. It's a similar story. I saw it on TV. I went outside, put on my mom's 70s disco girl roller skates that were out there. Yep. And then I nailed a piece of scrap drywall that I found in a trash can into a broomstick.
Okay.
And had a tennis ball. And my dad came out and was like, this kid's so serious about wanting to play hockey that... took me to Sport Mart and we got a hockey stick and played ever since.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you just saw it on TV. Did you just go, man, that looks so much fun?
Looks like a blast. And so yeah, then I found some kids playing street hockey at my middle school that were all senior, juniors and seniors in high school. I was only in 6th, 7th grade.
Right.
So once I got my real hockey stick and I had gotten some rollerblades, I actually just went and hovered for an hour at a time every day, and it took a couple weeks, and they finally let you in. Let me play.
Like, this kid wants to come in.
And then, a year later, I had about 20 of my own friends that had all bought stuff, and we kind of continued the tradition. And so,
is this still down in Huntington?
This was in Huntington Beach. Yep.
It kind of seems weird that you're doing hockey stuff.
Right.
A
lot of people were surprised by that. Yeah. Well, right. And so it was street hockey was really big, and then that moved into ice hockey and played club ice hockey and came up there, and ice hockey slowed down quite a bit just because hockey here is still, even after the Olympics, is still pretty non-existent. And
I know.
In high school, the only way I could have played was to either move into somebody's house in Park City and play for Park City High, which if you're from Heber,
Right.
That would be like a BYU kid going to the U, or
right.
like Park City and Wasatch. We hated each other.
Okay.
And then, so I ended up playing for a team called Salt Lake County Independent. So basically, it was one team with kids from all over Utah, Salt Lake, and Wasatch and Summit counties that didn't have a high school team to play for. So
interesting.
Played for them for a couple years.
And I want to talk more about that. I want to jump back just a little bit. So you have brothers and sisters?
Yep, I'm the oldest of 5. I've got 2 little brothers, 2 little sisters.
Right on. Did they kind of follow your footsteps in the ice hockey thing when you were younger? Or?
Everybody kind of did their own thing. I have 2. Ski patrol was a big thing for a couple, or for one of my sister right underneath me. A lot of crazy issues with our parents got divorced when I was probably 16, 17. And so after that, everybody just kind of
did their own thing,
getting independent and doing their own thing. We're all very, very, very close. We're all still close.
Let's talk about that when your parents divorced. How did that go down, and how did you handle that?
Yeah, I didn't handle it super good. I think it was hard for me just because it kind of moved me into the parent role a little bit, just because it's hard. It's hard for I've got. We can talk more about that here in a few minutes, but I've got my own experience with that almost happening, and so I can see how it's really hard to focus on anything else other than the actual split. And so, I'm protective, so kind of watched after them, and I had some siblings have some issues after that with drugs and alcohol and things like that. So I wasn't going to go on a mission because I thought I had to stay home to kind of look after them, and
didn't want to leave them.
I still ended up going. I went about a year late to try to magically get them back together. I just thought, like, if I go on a mission, the Lord will bless me and my parents will get back together. And
magically they'll be back
together. My dad remarried like 4 months in, and I'm just like, crap. Well,
there goes that.
I was just going to go home, and luckily I had a mission president really help me figure it out. And so figured out my reason, came home and inherited a whole lot of other problems with the 2 youngest. And all the way up to me getting married, which was 2005, the youngest lived with me the first year because he had issues with both of them, and one in Wyoming, one in Utah, and had nowhere to live, so he lived with me. So yeah, it was great. I mean, we all got very close, and now everybody's happy. Everyone's married. Everybody's
now that you're
in good
further
shape.
down the road, it's all kind of smoothed over, I guess, a little bit.
But it definitely affected me. I didn't really realize it affected me until I got married.
Okay.
And then a few years in, we started having some issues, and I didn't think anything was wrong until I went to my first therapy session.
Okay.
And then I found out that not everything was right. So, So here we are, still married, but it's been a road. So it definitely affected me. But
we'll get to that in a minute. I want to talk about, so you go serve the mission. 4 months into it, it sounds like you find out your dad remarries.
Right.
How did that feel at the moment? What was going through your mind when you?
I mean, it was hard, just because obviously you always want your parents to get back together, and you don't want your life interrupted. You want things to just kind of keep going the same, and but yeah, I mean, it was. I think for me, I was in the right place for it to happen, just because, it really helped me find my own reason for my testimony, for the church, for my mission. And I mean, I tell people all the time, my mission, I mean, I don't even want to know where I'd be without my mission. I kind of think that it really set me on the right path for the rest of my life, because I'm a very unstructured person. Right. And
well, I know
it helped me. It helped me a lot.
And I know we're kind of guessing here, but had you not gone on it in 4 months, you find out your dad remarried someone else. If you weren't on your mission, do you think it would have been a different scenario for you?
Could have been. I definitely would have probably had more time to think about it, and I was probably, I'm right there, so I probably would have tried to cause some problems. Right. I think it forced me to kind of deal with it. I'm in South America. There's not a whole lot I can do from there. And you want them to be happy. Sure. There's a part of it that's selfish. Like, I don't want you to get remarried, and because I want you to marry mom. But I mean, when you're a kid, that's all you're thinking about. Who knows? Hindsight. I definitely think I was in the right spot. It probably would have been worse, but I don't know. I don't know how I would have handled it.
And obviously being the oldest, like you said, you kind of had to take a parent role and, maybe helping with the other siblings. How did that affect you? Did you feel pressure from that? Was it something that just naturally came to you, or did you resent it?
I think later I resented it once I realized that it had taken a toll. Mm-hmm. But I'm naturally kind of a protective person. I like taking care of people, and at first I didn't really mind, but on my mission was the first time one of my siblings, I'll try to keep it to just siblings so I don't sell anybody out, but and I don't think they'd care, but one of my siblings called, and this person was probably the best grade. Like I had horrible grades my whole life. Like I graduated high school because teachers loved me, but this one was straight A's, super active in the church, leadership roles all through, and I got a call and the sibling just said, "I drank tonight." And I'm on my mission. I'm like, what the crap? Yeah. What'd you just say? I mean, it was like the last person in the family you would expect
you were
that
like
from.
Shocked, like you?
Right. And it just kind of started from there. Yeah. So, I got that phone call, and then the next one started having issues, and the next one started having issues, and it was, 10, 15 years. And it's just, of course, back then I blamed it all on the divorce. And I think, I don't know that it's the divorce as much as just when you take structure away from kids. Right. And they've got a little more freedom to just go out and I'm sure it affected them and they were sad and whatever, but
well, and the other thing is as young as you guys were, because how old were you when your parents divorced?
So I found out, I came home from like a school dance. My mom was waiting at the table to tell us, so I'm 16 or 17.
Yeah. So really between the ages of like 8 and 16, really.
Right.
When a divorce occurs in a family, even subconsciously, the kids on some level think it's their fault.
Right.
They may not say it out loud, but that's what's inherently going on inside a little bit. And so, not only is it hard, but then when you have those kind of feelings and thoughts, man, it's like, why isn't this enough? Why am I not enough even, or whatever, to keep this together? Like you even said, you're like, I'm gonna get him back. I know I can do this.
No, and that's solely, that is how I felt. I don't know that I blame myself, but I was surprised. I mean, I don't think any of us, it's not like we saw them fighting a lot or anything like that, but I mean, looking back now, it's easier to kind of see where maybe it went wrong, but so I mean, I learned a lot from it too, and just like anything really bad, a lot of good can come from it, and I almost thank it for saving. There was a separation in my marriage that we can talk about, when we get to it. But because of what I experienced from the kids' perspective, it really gave me motivation to work hard to get on track and be better and make it work. And so I think had I not had that experience, maybe it would have been easier for me to just say, well, screw you, I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so,
Yeah, I love that, because I really have a philosophy and a belief that life happens for us,
right?
Even though it's difficult at the time. But like you even said, man, it was actually a blessing in disguise a little bit there.
Absolutely.
So on your mission, you mentioned you blew your knee out about 20 months in.
Yeah.
Talk about that and what led to.
Well, I learned that when you're 6'5", 280, soccer is not the sport for you. And so, it was P-Day. We were playing soccer, and it was on one of those, remember the old carpet, like, church gyms?
Oh, yeah,
It was like that.
Oh.
And so I had blown my knee out a few times. I wrestled in high school. That was the first time it happened, and it happened in basketball, and it happened in hockey. So I think both knees, my kneecaps blew to the outside, I think 8 or 9 times each before I got surgeries.
Really?
And so it happened again down there, and they wanted me just to do a scope surgery down there, like this Harvard-educated doctor, like the whole bit. It looked fine, but our orthopedic up here was just like, no.
Yeah.
And So as hard as it was, especially with as close as I was to my mission president, we decided that I should go home, but I didn't want to finish just because the first 6 months of my mission, I was just kind of a screw off. Just because, like I said earlier, I didn't really know why I was there, you know. I knew I was there until that didn't work. And so I really wanted to finish. And so after 18 months, they release you, you know, if it's a medical reason. And so my stake president had to get permission from the first presidency to let me go back out. And so I stayed home unreleased from my duties for a month. So, I mean, every day I had to dress up. And at that time, I really wanted to be a cop. That was all I ever wanted to do.
Really?
And so I just rode with a good friend of mine. He's a highway patrolman. So I would just ride with him every day for like 8 to 10 hours just to stay busy and, you know, wait for my answer. So coming over from South America after being gone for, you know, 19, 20 months, and a lot of my friends were home by this time, and I just had to stay, you know, locked into missionary mode. It was tough, but they sent me back out to Knoxville, Tennessee, and they opened up a Spanish mission there, and I was in Fort Payne, Alabama for 4 months.
All right.
So it was awesome. So I got to finish, and I felt good about it.
So, how did you blow your knee out and stuff? And I know you're an active guy. You're doing things like that. Did it get to the point where you couldn't do some of these things anymore?
The nice thing about I've always been able to handle pain pretty good. So it would get better. You know, every time it felt a little looser, but I could get to the point where I could rehab it and then get back into it. You know, after the mission, I played hockey, and it happened a few more times. And then finally, I didn't have insurance. It was almost a blessing that it happened. So the last time it had happened, I was playing in a BYU hockey game, blew out on the ice, and since that happened, I was covered under USA Hockey. So actually paid. So I actually had both my knees done at the same time, which was kind of stupid in hindsight. I was trying to play the next season. So they're like, if you can handle it, we'll do both knees at the same time. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I can handle it. And holy crap, it was miserable. But, so, I mean, I didn't play any more BYU hockey after that, but
that was when
I played in some men's leagues and stuff, but then got married and fat. And so I haven't played for a few years. I don't want to hurt the ice.
Yeah, I can't imagine you on hockey skates.
Yeah, I mean,
So listeners, if you don't know, Cameron's a big dude. He's a big guy, and I can't imagine him coming barreling down on some skates, and I wouldn't want to get hit by you.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It doesn't work well for most people.
So you meet Ashely, you guys get married, right?
Yep.
And you now have 4 children, correct? Yep. Let's talk about that. You mentioned a little earlier that obviously you guys are in love, you get married and this and that, but there was some, I don't know if it happened sooner or in the marriage or later, but you guys had some issues. Let's talk about that.
Well, I guess we had some issues before that, but she didn't know what she was getting into. She just thought I was this fun, cuddly, big guy, and I was. But it's funny, once you're married for a while, you just realize, once the stresses kick in, the pressures kick in, it definitely has a tendency to bring some of the issues to the surface. And so, the one other cool thing is that I really, well, I shouldn't say that. In the beginning, I remember when my parents divorced that, like my bishop and some other people were like, you should go to a counselor. And I'm like, I'm good. Everything's good. I was happy.
Yeah.
And so later it took a while for people to talk me into like going to marriage counseling and seeing if there's any issues. And maybe deep down I was just scared of finding out there was issues. And so anyway, somebody had referred us to this guy in Arizona, and we were living in Arizona the first time that we had some issues. She had gone to Washington with the kids when I was out on a work trip and just called and said, we're not coming home for a few weeks. I need a break. And I was just like, wait, what?
What's going on?
And, we only had, I think, 2 kids at the time. And
did you know something was going on, or was that kind of a shock to you?
It was a shock. It was a shock. That I think she would have she'd have no problem with me saying this, but, I'm very expressive. I wear my heart on my sleeve. It's pretty easy to tell, how I'm feeling at any given moment. Where she's pretty good at holding it in.
Right.
And she won't say anything until it's
Right.
And that's kind of what had happened. And
Okay.
and so, anyways, that was the first time that we decided to do marriage counseling. And then very quickly, we realized that, I mean, I think most time it's the dude's fault. We're a little bit more rowdy, but we just realized that I had some issues that I needed to deal with, and they all stemmed from the divorce. And so, yeah, it was really good to talk about it and get it out in the open, and then just learn things that. It was funny because I don't remember what the therapy was called, but it was kind of weird. But man, it just like I started remembering things I hadn't thought of for 10, 15 years.
Right.
And it just came out. I was bawling like a baby. And
yeah. Was it EMDR? Where they do this and they
No. I've seen that before. I just remember like I had to close my eyes and repeat things that he was saying, and it just kind of brought things
to the surface.
And
so there was a lot of hurt there still
that
you had kind of suppressed over the years. So it wasn't like I thought it was okay.
Right. And, I look back, I think a lot of it was I was so focused on my family that maybe I never really took time to worry about myself because I had something to work on. I was... Yeah, I have some crazy stories with my brothers and sisters, just looking for them at all hours of the night and, looking, they're with drug dealers and everything else. And anyway, it was crazy, but but that's very distracting and you feel good for doing that. You love them and you're helping them out. And all along I had the same, emotional struggles that they were going through. I just wasn't, going down the drug path, but I was lucky because I had the mission and some discipline and some things that had helped me grow up a little bit. I was a little older, and they were, 3 of them were right in the middle of their teenage crazy years. And
years.
So yeah, I mean, it was kind of better late than never. And I think it helped Ashely to know that, hey, he's not just a jerk. He's got a lot of stuff he just needs to get resolved.
There's reasons why this
there's
is
something that we can fix here.
Right.
And so yeah, it helped a lot, and it gave me a really, really strong belief and opinion on therapy and marriage counseling. And like, even when things are, fast forward to now, even when things are good, we still go, 4 or 5 times a year. Cause it's like, man, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. I love it.
So
you mentioned something earlier, how, because of what you went through with your own parents, how it helped you through this.
Right.
And you mentioned specifically kids.
Yeah.
So talk about that and how that played a role of your motivation to really work on you.
So I still look back at it, I'm really close to both my parents still. And I mean, I'm very close to my brothers and sisters. It kept us all really close. But for me, when we were separated, so basically about a week before I opened the restaurant, my wife was just like, I'm done. And we can fill in, there's a lot of cool things that happened before that. But anyway, so a lot of people don't know that the first 6 months the restaurant was open, I was living at my grandma's house.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even get one night with my kids that first 6 months. So, and the first 6 months, there's no other cooks. There's no, like, I'm the manager, I'm the server, I'm everything. And so, and I look back and that was a good thing because it kept me busy, but to have to put on a smile every day because you're just introducing the business and you got to make people happy and make them feel special, and working 18 hours, it was hard. And so,
right.
But during that was putting myself in my kids' shoes. I didn't, and I don't like saying this a lot because I don't want my parents to feel bad, but I didn't want them to have to go through what we went through.
Right.
And I don't necessarily, I have no ill will towards my parents at all, but they're like younger.
Yeah. It's like you said earlier. I mean, it ended up being a blessing as well. Yeah. As tough as it was, you made it work, and you've learned from it. You've grown from it. So either way, your kids would have done the same thing.
Sure.
But again,
But for me, it's like that was 15, 20 year process. And so I want them to be happy, and I don't want to feel, because, I'm sure every marriage is different, but I'm going to take 99% of the blame for just because she's great. She's perfect, but, well, not perfect.
Right.
But more perfect than me. And so, but yeah, it was a good wake up call. And I think my big driving force in really being able to look in the mirror and work hard towards, just being better was them, not wanting them to have to live through that. And, you think of another parent and step parents and all that. And so it was motivating for me. And it again, I look back at that just kind of like my parents' divorce, where it was a huge blessing because it really helped me personally in a lot of ways, because it was just me and I could focus on me and reading a lot of books, meeting with the bishop, meeting with the therapist, just trying to get better. And it got to the point where it was over. And it was kind of a cool revelation to know that I'm like, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
It's, as long as I've got my spiritual life in order and I know he's happy with me, the big man's happy with me, I'll be okay. It'll all work out.
Yeah.
And once that feeling hit, about 2 weeks later, I was living in my house again. It was just like this miracle fix. And so more detailed story than that, but in the gist of it, that's kind of what happened. And so I think being with my grandparents, they've had kids stray like crazy.
Yeah. So they
are about as spiritual as it gets. And so I think being with them was really helpful.
Right.
And
so again, another blessing, even though it was a hard time for you. Right. But to be them and under their influence, man, what a gift that was as well.
Poor grandparents. It's like, hey, I'm 31 and me and my 200-pound dog are moving in. Sorry. But no, they loved it. It was fun. It was a good time. So it was a horrible time, but it was good for me. It's helped me ever since. And I draw from it a lot, because anytime whenever Ashely's mad at me, I kind of look at something and go, okay, what did I do?
Yeah.
How can I fix it? And I don't want to live at grandma's anymore. That was such a bad time. So it's a good motivator, and it's something I never want to go back to. So,
well, if there's some listeners out there right now that are listening to your story and they're struggling in their marriage and they're not quite sure what to do, what advice would you give them based on what you've been through?
I think we have a tendency, I think one of the therapists told me once that we live in an upgrade society. Everything that we have, I'm that way with my phone, my truck, you just always kind of want the newest thing. And I'm a true believer in the grass is never greener on the other side. And, anything that's good is this is cliche after cliche, but anything that's good is hard.
Yeah.
And so I think that no matter what's happened, you can make it work. It just takes a lot of work. So, I think a lot of people are very stubborn with therapy, with counseling, especially in the Mormon culture, here in Utah. Mm-hmm. And it's sad because there's so many good resources. There are some bad ones. We've been to a couple of therapists where I was just like, what in the hell is this person talking about? And I think it's okay to disagree with them. And if they don't feel right, move on. But I think all of us know someone who's been through therapy or counseling and probably as a resource or a referral. Mm-hmm. And before, you make any decision like that, you've got to give it a shot.
Yeah.
You got to look in the mirror and say, I don't have any problem. I'm one of those guys that has no problem admitting that I did something wrong. I'm an apologizer. If it's my fault, I'll own it. At least if I can see it, if I notice it. But if I don't and they make me aware of it, then I'm pretty agreeable that way. And I think that that's the biggest thing is like, hey, what am I doing wrong here? What can I fix here to make the other person's life better? And just have faith that they'll do the same thing. Because all you can really do is take responsibility for yourself. You can't ask somebody else to change if you don't change. And so I think just asking for help and swallowing your pride and your ego and going in and sitting with somebody. There are so many smart people and that can really, really help and have been through it. And then, find other people that have been through it, but come out the other side of it.
Right. Because
on the flip side of things, and maybe this is a little negative, and I hope I don't hurt anybody's feelings, but I think a lot of people that, not a lot, but some that have been divorced tend to justify what happened by recommending it to other people.
Right.
misery loves company.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
you want to make sure you surround yourself with the right people when you're
Sure.
going through it.
Right.
Or the people that want what you want, just because it's really easy to justify either decision, you know, whether you want to get divorced or whether you want to save it. If you want to get divorced, you can find plenty of those people who are just like, yeah, just do it. I'm happier than ever.
Right.
You know, don't fight
And
for
it's
your
true
family.
though too. We got to also see that side.
Right.
Sometimes divorce in instances it is the right thing because it's just
Definitely.
so toxic.
Definitely.
And sometimes we do have to get out of that kind of thing. But I love your advice where we've got to put some effort into it. It takes work to cultivate a relationship.
It really does.
And so if you don't put in that work, how do you really know? So
Right.
put in the work and effort and see where that goes. But
it could be so great on the other side.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know if I've ever been in a darker spot than that 6 months. You know,
Yeah.
you talk about it now and it's all good and because now it's a good thing, right? It's turned into a good thing.
Right.
But that was 6 years ago. And so, but it was horrible. I mean, horrible. Because I was just in my mind all day long. Because I'm working 18 hours a day. Now, in barbecue, I'm cooking overnight. Like, so I'm in the restaurant by myself till late at night. I'm back at 4:30 in the morning. So I'm just in my own head.
Yeah, with that weighing on you that possibly
Right.
this isn't going to work. I'm going to be alone.
Yep.
I won't see my kids as much. I mean, there's a lot going on in there.
I joke that some of those briskets had salt from tears, not just sea salt on them.
Right.
Like it was, you know, big old 300-pound dude crying, trimming a brisket. And it was a dark, you know, it was a tough time. But again, I'm the type of person that needs, and this is kind of sad, but I need to hit a wall. This is the ADHD talking. It's almost like I have to hit the wall for me to take action. But once I hit that wall, I take action.
Well,
and I don't quit. And so it was.
You know how I know that's true, is because, like, you're one of those guys. I already know this, that when you set your mind to something, you do it.
Right.
Like when you saw the hockey for the first time on TV, you're like, I'm playing hockey.
Yep.
And you were dedicated, even to the point where you're hanging out with the older guys over and over and over again until they finally said, "All right, kid, you can play with us." Right.
It's the ADHD wormhole.
Yeah. And
it's like you find something you love and nothing. It's like just
laser
blinders, laser focus, and you just go.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same story with barbecue.
Yeah. So, and we'll get to that towards the end, but I want to talk about what you mentioned before a little bit, that you found yourself at a time in your life where you had an issue with opiates, painkillers. Yeah. Let's talk about what happened there and how that came about.
So that was, about 3 years ago now. 2 years ago. So I've had knee surgeries. I had a foot surgery. So I had plantar fasciitis really bad in both my feet. And yeah, when you said I'm a big dude, I'm a lot bigger than normal right now. And that's my next quest that I'm working on. Like so I'm 6'5", I weigh about 415 right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people are surprised by that just because I do kind of hold it well. I'm a tall dude.
Yeah, you really don't look 415. I would have said like 325.
Well, thank you.
Honestly.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
There's still some muscle mass under there holding some things up. So.
Sure.
But yeah, working in the restaurant industry, you know, I was traveling a lot. You know, I teach classes all over the country, and I even did some international stuff that year. And I was just hurting everywhere. Right. And it had gotten to the point because I was, 36, 37, and it's like you can handle pain up to a certain point, but now that I'm getting a little older, it's a little bit more surface.
Which kind of adds to it.
Right. And then, there's always the emotional element too, being overweight. I'm not playing sports. I'm not doing, I'm not snowboarding. I'm not all of the things that kind of kept me healthy and sane.
Yeah. Like a good release from everyday life.
Like my hockey,
right.
None of it. All I was doing was just working and then going home and being a dad.
Yeah. And
so I think there was definitely an emotional element to it too. But, so yeah, I got I don't remember if it was after a surgery or what. No, it wouldn't have been a surgery. I got it was for my plantar fasciitis, which has been horrible. Like I just got a plantar fascia release like 6 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so I got a prescription, and being in the barbecue, space. Like I meet a lot of people, and I've got
right, sure,
a lot of friends in different fields, and so I think people just, it's just like anybody. There's a lot of people you look at and you don't think could have a drug problem, right?
Right.
But it can get anybody.
Anybody, yeah.
And so,
for sure.
I think there was no when I asked for more, they didn't even think twice.
Yeah.
And, these are people that care about me a ton, and it to them it wasn't anything. I'm just a big guy. I metabolize things quick, which is true.
Right.
Like anesthesia, you got to be careful because it's like putting a moose down. I mean, you got to use a lot of medicine because I will wake up. And so,
oh man.
So, but I had gotten to the point where I was taking probably, I don't know, maybe 7 to 10 a day of oxycodone, Percocets.
Right.
But I definitely got to the point where I wasn't taking it just for pain anymore. It just makes you feel good. Mm-hmm. And so my wonderful wife, who I have not put her through anything by this point, right?
Right.
Ha, ha, ha. Poor girl.
Right.
It's funny. I came home and I had kind of kept it to myself. Like, I didn't think anybody really knew. And, anyways, I walk in the house one day and she has that look, and
yeah.
Flashback central. I was about to pee myself. I was so scared. And I'm like, oh no. And she's just like, it's pills or me. I'm like, wait, what? She goes, I'm tired of it. And I'd gotten to the point where it affects you. It's great when you're up on them, but you're a total dick when you're down. And even though my temper has subsided a lot, being a little bit older now, sure. I don't mince words. If I'm not happy, you're going to know.
You're going to hear it, yeah.
And so she had just realized for a couple months that I was just kind of turning into this jerk.
Yeah.
And she had put it together that I was just taking too many pills. And
she had enough.
This is another place where that 6 months really helped me, because that's what I flashed back to.
Right.
So I grabbed my bottle. It was a prescription for, I don't know, 90 or 120. I mean, it was a big bottle. It was about a third full still, and I dumped them in the toilet and curled up in a ball for 6 days. And
so cold
turkeyed it.
Wow.
And so I haven't taken one since.
Let's look at this timeline. So you come home one night, your wife says, me or the pills?
Yep.
Was it that night you did that?
Yeah, it was like 10 minutes later.
You're kidding.
Mm-mm. I have a picture on my phone of the pills in the toilet.
So you literally dump them.
And so she said she was sitting on her bed. It was like 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
Okay.
I went down to the truck, got the whole bottle, walked up, popped the cap, showed her, dumped them in the toilet. And I even took a picture of them, flushed them. And then I just said, honey, it's going to be a long week and I need your help. And she's like, I'll help you.
Wow. So now you go through some vicious withdrawals and detoxing.
And I think everything I read online, I was a lot more, I think I had told myself it was going to be way worse than it was. And I don't know if this played into it. Maybe you do. But so I had just had my testosterone checked and it was way low.
Mm-hmm.
And so about a month before, I had the pellets put in.
Uh-huh.
And she had also checked vitamins and everything. So I got all these vitamins and minerals. So that might have helped a little bit, because I think hormones and vitamin, everything was where it was supposed to be, but it still really sucked. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's like the worst flu you've ever had, with cold sweats
times 100.
And I mean, it's just, I said, stay hydrated. I'd be really cold and really hot, then I'd be really sweaty. But it took a month. It took 5 to 6 days, really hard, nasty, feel sick. Not too much. I didn't really throw up, which I was thankful for, but because I don't like throwing up. But but my energy and just kind of drive to do anything didn't return for about 30 days. Yeah. I just kind of felt tired and just
for sure
no energy.
And that's typical. It's about a 30-day. I mean, the first 5, 6, 7 days are brutal.
Right.
But then it's usually about a 30 to 40 day window before you start feeling somewhat like normal with the energy, like you're
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. It was rough, but again, you look back on it and you do notice, like it was just Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It was up, down, and you don't want to put your kids and your wife through that. And so it was awesome that we were in a place where, you'd think by this point my wife would just kind of be like, all right, enough's enough. Get the hell out. I'm done. But, we had worked so hard, and our marriage is awesome, and it still takes a lot of work, but she was so supportive, and I love how tough she was, where she was just like, pills for me right now. And I love it. She knows me really well, and that's the thing. I need that wall.
There's the wall. And again, it goes back to like when you set your mind to something, you do it. And you were like, okay, I'm done.
Yep.
Dump them. And then you just went through whatever you needed to go through.
Yeah. And
that's pretty impressive, actually.
Well, thank you. And I'm very grateful. That's the one great thing about having a person you love and a family, and there's nothing more important, other than God for me, other than them,
Yeah.
And so,
wow.
I mean, am I really going to choose a pill over my family? And that's the hard thing is, I think a lot of people struggle with that because it's a hard thing to let go of, but it's kind of like the divorce thing. It's like, man, don't be scared to ask for help, because there's plenty. I mean, I'm sitting in a place right now where you help people do that stuff, and that's amazing. And so,
that's impressive.
Yeah, you can't be judgmental, because there are so many people struggling with that type of thing right now.
Yeah. Well, and I know not everyone believes they can do the cold turkey. They actually can. They just don't believe they can.
Right. Well, and the internet's not helpful either.
Not helpful, but again, that's where it's good to go reach out and get some help and have someone, do it. Typically someone would go to like an actual a medical detox,
right,
where you didn't, we'd recommend doing that if you're listening to this right now and you need some help. Don't be afraid to go get some medical help for that. I appreciate you sharing that as well. So, and that was about 3 years ago, you said, or 3 years ago?
About between 2 and 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Wasn't that long ago.
So this was while you're still doing the barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
And Bam Bams, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. And I think that was kind of a factor. It's just, I don't know if you've ever had plantar fasciitis, but
I haven't. But I've heard it's brutal.
It's hell. I mean, it honestly feels like there's a knife in your heel all day long. And so, I mean, I went through a ton of shoes trying to find like the cushiest shoes and arch supports and all this other stuff. And, it's pretty common ailment for people that work in the industry that I work in, but then you add the weight to it too. And it's just,
well, you're on your feet all day long.
On your feet all day. And once your plantar fascia drop, like you have no shock absorption. And so yeah, it was crazy. So, I still get a cortisone shot like every 6 months in my left foot. My right foot's improving after the surgery, but
good.
But yeah, use cortisone. Don't use opiates.
Good advice. Yeah. Good advice, Cameron.
Very deep.
Good advice. Well, let's talk a little bit about Bam Bam's BBQ. I know it's something you're very passionate about. Let's talk about how that kind of came about. Kind of a similar story.
It is.
Things, but let's talk about
story. That. I think it's another ADD wormhole. So, I found, I was watching playoff hockey, and maybe it was playoff hockey. I don't know. I guess it would have been February, early March in Provo, and so I found a TV show called BBQ Pitmasters. It's on accident, and it's about the guys that travel around the country and compete in barbecue, and it just looked awesome. And I wasn't even into really grilling or anything. I wasn't into cooking. But again, it kind of caught me like hockey did. And something about it just kind of spoke to me. And I went to Lowe's that night and bought a little $40 bullet smoker. There's a foot of snow outside, and I lit it up. I still have a picture of the first rack of ribs I ever made, and they look horrible. I even put pine wood in the charcoal. And I mean, for anybody who barbecues, you know that you don't use softwoods, you use hardwoods for flavor, and because you're just putting black smoke up, with sap and everything else. And I was just so excited to see smoke coming out of it. And but again, when I find something that I love, there's kind of no turning it off. And that's our separation, that's kind of it. Kind of built up to that. It's a hard ride to take. With I would imagine being married, it's a hard ride to take with, because I don't joke about ADHD. I mean, I'm definitely ADHD. I've taken
can I share
ADHD
something
drugs
with you?
for 13 years and everything.
I'm going to just say you either have a lack of focus or you're really focused.
Right.
Why don't we just call it that?
Sure. Yeah.
Because,
That's
what a
is.
blessing. Because think about this, man. Again, when you set your mind to something, you do it. What a gift, right? Now it can also be a deterrent and something that could be bad, but
there's good and
look
there's
at all
bad.
The good that's coming out of it as well.
Right. And I think, there's this blog that I follow that they refer to it as a superpower, and it's just kind of about knowing your...
Amen, my friend.
Right?
I agree 100%.
That's why I share it so easily, because I have no problem with it, and I think that there's people that don't treat it because they don't want to admit that they have it.
Right.
Plus, too many people, it's taboo. Like, it's a real thing.
Sure.
Executive function and dopamine. Like, I don't produce dopamine like the normal person. So, when I find something that produces it, boom.
You're all
we
in.
just got to make sure they're healthy things, right?
Like barbecue.
So,
that's awesome.
So, I started that up, and then I moved to Arizona for work. And in Arizona, the barbecue world was a lot more established, probably just because of the warm weather. And I kind of did the same thing. I started kind of hovering in this barbecue shop called Barbecue Island in Tempe, and kind of like with the hockey guys, right?
Just watching. And
so I'm in there hovering, checking out product, getting to know the guys. Didn't really have a lot of money to spend in there, but about 3 months into it, I decided to jump in my first barbecue competition. And I finished dead last. It wasn't a real one like you see on TV. It was kind of a local one. Finished dead last, but it was 130 degrees on the pavement. It was for a Veterans Day, like biker rally thing.
Right.
And he felt so bad that no bikers showed up because it was so hot, and we all had donated meat, that he invited us to he was the promoter of an actual pro competition the next week in northern Arizona. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go. So I show up in my wife's Murano with one little smoker. Had no clue what I was doing.
The same one from Lowe's?
A little bit better. But still, I mean, it wasn't much better.
Right.
But 3 of the main characters from that TV show were in this competition.
Really?
And I beat all 3 of them.
You're kidding me.
I actually came home with about $3,000.
Are you kidding?
Took a first place, a third place, and a 5th place overall. Had a lot. I had a guy up there that had a problem with the smoker, so he really helped me with the turn-in boxes and everything else. And so I just leave there. I remember the judge handing me the trophy. He's like, "This is the most expensive trophy you'll ever own because you're hooked now." And because most people that compete don't make any money.
Right. And you're like, wow.
Yeah. So about 3 weeks later, I sign up for another one and have the exact same result.
No way.
And so Barbecue Island, the place where I hovered, offered me a job. So I sold my stake in this little marketing company I owned with my best friend for $20,000, and just went after. So I went from making pretty good money to making about $11 an hour, and that's with a wife and 2 kids. And but again, you can't stop. There's just no stopping me. And so, but that barbecue shop is pretty big, and I'm very good at networking. I make friends easily, and so that kind of gave me a springboard to get to know a lot of these pro cooks. They sponsored me, so I started traveling all over competing. And this will be the last little comp story that I tell, but this is one that I'm proud of. I went to Mesquite. It's one of the biggest comps in the West, and I didn't tell my wife this, but we had $7 in our bank account.
Wow.
And they paid for everything, meat, my entry fee, all that, but I had to feed myself. So I had enough money to basically get like a McDonald's value meal on the way home.
Jeez.
But so let's see, about 3 hours before turn-ins, my wife calls me crying, and unfortunately she had logged into
saw the account,
bank account. And so turns out that competition was kind of the make or break of my career. If I didn't win any money, which is very easy to do, it's like you're back to a normal job.
You're back to doing your
no more $10 an hour. And so I ended up clinching the Nevada State Barbecue Championship. I took reserve grand champion, I came home with $13,000
Are you kidding me?
that day.
Wow.
And so I called my wife. I was bawling. I'm coming home. They gave it to me in chips. It was at the Casablanca Casino.
Nice.
Most barbecue comp guys are drunk by this time. And so
Right.
if you give them to them in chips, what are they going to do?
They're going to go spend it.
So I love blackjack. So I just put my hands over my eyes. I walked straight to the cage.
And said, cash me out.
Cash me out. And I'm like, I got the hell out of there. But
That was smart. Good move.
yeah, so it was, so that was kind of the turning point. And that competition, I also met a guy named John Lewis from Austin, Texas, who I didn't know at the time was the pit boss of probably the most famous barbecue joint in America to this day. And we became pretty quick friends, and he called me 2 months later, and, everybody kissed this guy's butt because of who he was. I had no idea who he was, so I just treated him normal. And he just said, how would you like to move down to my house for 6 months, and I'll teach you everything you need to know about the restaurant side of the biz, and you can live at my house and pay $500 a week.
No way.
And my wife was the one that's like, you got to do it. And so yeah, I moved to Austin, and that's really, awesome. I mean, it's the Michael Jordan of brisket. And so,
for sure.
Wow. But that was a big stress on the marriage too. So, because we weren't making a lot of money, of course, I was just sending everything home. But yeah, after that, I had the knowledge to do the restaurant side. So, that hovering at Barbecue Island and just going down the wormhole and getting to know people, and they gave me so much help. And then getting to know a lot of the big cooks from around the country, because whenever someone competed in Arizona, they stopped in.
Right.
That led to me going to the World Championships and the American Royal Invitational. I think I placed like 17th out of the top 150 in the world.
That is amazing.
And I was only a year into competing, and then I met John and went and did the restaurant side. So yeah, started in 2009, lit the barbecue in Provo in the snow, and Bam Bam's opened June 1st, 2013.
Wow.
So that was a 4-year.
What a story.
4-year crazy ride.
What a story. Well, no wonder everyone raves about Bam Bam's barbecue, because, I mean, you just have a knack for it, obviously.
Right.
Because, I mean, to win that quickly and to continue winning, it wasn't a fluke, right? You realize.
It wasn't a fluke.
I know what I'm doing.
And I had a lot of help. And I think it's just like anything. I don't want to say it's all about who you know, but it's, it's about creating relationships. And successful people, I've learned, they really want to help other people.
Yeah.
I've had the I don't know if you know this, but one of the coolest things I've done in my career, the last 2 years, I feed the New Orleans Saints every month.
I did not know that. Really?
I fly out and feed them once a month. And Taysom Hill started, it all got set up through him. And
okay.
Watching guys like Taysom and Drew Brees,
right?
It's been a really cool example, because there's another CEO of Traeger, Jeremy Andrus. Some of the most successful people that I know are just very sweet, humble, giving people.
Yeah. And
barbecue world is no different. I mean, the most successful guys did not have a problem helping other people learn and get better and win. And so I owe a lot of that to other people.
That's beautiful. I love it.
But yeah, I mean, but they were genuine relationships. I wasn't just trying to get something out of them.
Right.
So I think that's important in any industry. So yeah.
That's amazing. What
a
story.
Very supportive wife too. Sorry, honey.
Yeah.
But
Ashely,
it worked out.
Props to Ashely, man.
Yeah, I graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA, so I wasn't supposed to own a good business.
But look at you now.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Miss Van Sloten, because you're not supposed to graduate with a 1.9. But on my third retry on my algebra test, that's right, algebra as a senior.
Right.
I have no shame in saying that.
That's right.
She cried and said she was going to miss me, and she gave me a D+.
Wow.
And I got to graduate. So
right on.
So yeah.
Right on. Where, for our listeners, where is Bam Bam's Barbecue located?
So I'm in Orem. I'm at 1708 South State Street in Orem. So it's just about, I don't know, a half mile south of the mall there in Orem, right before you drop down into Provo.
For those of you that are out of the state of Utah or listening to this, when you come into town here, make sure you go there.
Yeah.
And then mention that I heard your Belief Cast podcast, And maybe Cameron might give you a little discount.
Hey, we'll see.
Right?
I don't know. I'll be tired and grumpy probably from being up really early in the morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, that'd be awesome. I'd love to hear from people that listen to this.
Well, if someone wanted to reach out to you and maybe just thank you for your story or ask you a question, what would be the best way for them to do that?
I'm pretty good on social media. So it's just Bams BBQ on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And so, so yeah, just you could send me a tweet, a DM on Instagram, or I would say Instagram and Twitter are the best. Facebook is sometimes I miss the messages on there. If you send a direct message, but yeah, I'd love to hear from people.
Beautiful. Well, I want to thank you, Cameron, for coming here and taking the time. I'm grateful that Scott recommended you, and I know why. What an amazing story! And
he helped me out a lot too. We should have talked about that, but when I got back, when I got back from Austin, he wrote me out a check, said let's do this, and
that's amazing.
So I owe him a lot for who knows if I would have ever had the guts to pull the trigger, but he definitely made it easier.
Yeah, so we're talking about Scott Warner, people,
Warner, my cousin.
So you know, is his cousin.
And partner in Bam Bams.
He was on my Belief cast as well, so you can look him up as well. Cameron, thank you so much, man.
Oh, my pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure, man. I pinch myself. I get to hear such amazing stories, and I'm glad I get to know you.
You're easy to talk to. I don't know if I've ever talked to the microphone about any of this stuff. I'll happily share it with people personally, but
that's
good. It's like, wow, I just told all iTunes that story, but that's okay. Yeah. That's a good thing.
Right on. Okay, well, listeners, thank you so much for your support once again. Another amazing story. Again, I'd like to thank Veracity Networks for their sponsorship of this Belief Cast and for making this possible. And again, Cameron, all the best to you and your family and all the success. And I can't wait to go down to Bam Bams and have some barbecue.
Can't wait to see you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, man.